I just saw Island's submission for the 2025 Academy Awards for Best International Feature, Kneecap, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys about this one, so let's get into it. So Kneecap is a almost musical biopic about a rap trio and basically their journey through a lot of really key moments in their life and what led them to becoming a music group in the first place. Now, calling this a musical biopic is technically what this is because it is telling that story, but this does something so different within the genre that it almost feels insulting to call it that because this does not play within those tropes within the genre. I'm someone who knew nothing about this band. They are very specific. They're from Northern Ireland and they mainly speak in Gaelic, which is a language that you don't hear all that often, and it was really excellent to get a very different perspective here, one that we don't normally see, about the importance of language and what that actually means to someone, because that is overall the key theme of this film, and I think it handles that really well. And within this film, you get two very different groups coming together and meshing, and it makes for a really exciting movie because of that. The two protagonists here are brothers and they're very into drugs and consistently getting in trouble with the police. And then on the other end, you have this school teacher that kind of bumps into them because of fate, really, because he understands Gaelic English and starts off as a translator because one of them is in trouble with the law. And from there, they connect and form this group, and it's very rebellious because it's going through a phase in time where England is trying to stamp out a lot of that language and make them speak only English. And it as I said, goes into the importance of language, what that means to someone, how it is part of someone's identity, and the way that this is communicated through visual storytelling and very interesting writing and editing makes for a very exciting film. This has a real youthful energy to it, which is what you want from a film that is going into a band like this. It just captures a certain rebelliousness that I really liked that you see in its editing. And sometimes you could say it's just a little bit too fleshy because of that. But honestly, I really like those stylistic choices. I think they enhance the movie. And you also have some really purposeful production design, as well as some really nice cinematography that manages to communicate a lot within its framing. There's one particular sequence in a phone booth that was just really well shot. The way that it completely changes a perspective and moves between character to character. The way that this was handled was just a really nice form of filmmaking that I think just gives this a clear, unique vision stylistically that once again helps enhance its quality as well as give this a really strong sense of identity that a lot of films within this genre do not have at all. A lot of them play by a very similar structure, but honestly, I didn't even know that this was based on a true story until the very end of this movie. I thought it was taking from a lot of things within Ireland and its history, but I didn't know that Kneecap were even a thing until I saw this movie. And approaching it that way, I didn't really feel like it was a biopic at all because it doesn't play within that structure. It plays like a feature-length film, and that is just what you want. It makes for a really entertaining experience. It feels informative. It feels like it's telling you so much. And its messaging is so purposeful, so direct, so concise that you are definitely moved by these characters really early into the movie. It just sells you on them so fast, despite how they can be almost unlikable people at points and maybe taking things a little bit too far at points. They also have a lot going against them that makes you want to support them, especially with the dynamic that they have with their father, played by Michael Fassbender, who was absolutely terrific in this movie, as he is in every movie. And almost a drawback that I would have for Kneecap was that I wanted to see more of Michael Fassbender because he was so great within this film. I also have to quickly mention the music because this is filled with a lot of Kneecap's music, and this was my first time hearing that type of music, and I loved it. Some certified bangers in this movie that I'm definitely going to be listening to over and over and over again, with this influx of music and really well shot concert sequences or gig sequences that are filled with drugs, wildness, destruction. Absolutely loved it. And once again, it conveyed a lot about the energy that this rap trio brings. And it's definitely different. It's very, very steeped in an authentic representation of a culture, and you just have to really appreciate that. This also doesn't over glamorize them either. It does show the voice that they have and the impact that they have had for people like them that are disadvantaged because their language is being stomped out day after day, and they have to constantly fight for that and rebel back. But it also shows how these people are a little bit selfish at points, or how some moments have taken away from other aspects of their lives, especially some of the connections that they have. This is particularly apparent in the DJ character, who has this very civil, normal life as this teacher, then gets kind of drawn into this world of music and is taking all these drugs and is kind of living a teenage life again. And you could say that he's going through a midlife crisis, but he also agrees so wholeheartedly with the messaging that is being said that it doesn't quite feel that way. It feels like he is finally having his voice heard and is able to have an impact, which makes these characters so three-dimensional. It doesn't give you a real biased point of view. It shows you how this is taken away from his relationship with his wife, but it also shows how he is living his best life at moments. So I really, really enjoy that fairness in a film about these people. What makes that even more braver is the fact that these people are played by the real people of this story. The actual band Kneecap are playing themselves here, and they do it superbly. The fact that they're not really actors and coming into this film, it's really impressive to see them give such nuanced performances. Better than a lot of performances that you're going to see this year. They are that good in this movie. And maybe if they're playing someone else, they might struggle a little bit. But the fact that they're in this movie, they're playing these characters, they just do it so well. They tell their own story incredibly well, which is not what you would expect, because if you're someone who is telling your own story, you want to put yourself in the best light. You have this bias because, of course, you want to make yourself look good to everyone else. These guys are just so honest about this interpretation, and you have to respect that and appreciate this film more because of it. It makes for a more well-rounded film, rather than sanding off the edges and making some Wikipedia list of just checkpoints of someone's life or career highlights. This is honest and feels different within the genre, that it just stands on its own as an excellent film that is so worth your time. Overall, Kneecap is a blast. I don't have too many flaws with it. I absolutely loved it. And right now, if this is going to be an Oscar contender, which I do think it should be, this is my pick for Best International Film so far this year. I loved this movie, and I think it does everything that you would want an international film to do. It tells you a completely different perspective on things, while also informing you about a culture and a language that you don't often see, especially where I'm from in Australia. So to see that played out in the big screen was really refreshing and made for a thematically rich experience that I wholeheartedly recommend you check out. It's going to be so criminally underrated this year, but I'm a big supporter of this movie. As a score, I'm going to give Kneecap a 4.5 out of 5. I really think it's excellent and well worth your time. And those are my thoughts towards Kneecap. Let me know what you think about this movie in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Remember to like and subscribe, and if you really enjoy this channel, consider clicking join below and becoming a member, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.